You know, when I look at this show 1 week before Money in the Bank, I say you could have skipped it. I say most of what happened here could have been skipped. Didn't have to actually happen. Because as it stands now, the interest in Money in the Bank is okay, but what we got here was not really that good. First thing I'll talk about is simple. The 6-man tag at the end of the show did not need to happen. You know what would have been better? A contract signing. You want to know why? This is the thing that a lot of people don't get. You get a match, 6-man match. You get to see their skills, but only one aspect of their skills. When, let's say, if you're in baseball, you got to be able to catch the ball. You got to be able to throw the ball. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to time it right to catch the runner going from one base to another, counting on where you're positioned on the field. That's the same thing in wrestling. There are 5 tools that a wrestler must have. And as it stands, we only see maybe 2 of them. 2. In-ring performance and being able to tell a story. Now, of course, that sounds the same, but it isn't. In-ring performance shows, can you be a ring general? Can you actually work with someone? And then going to work with someone, can you tell a story? That's all we're getting. Because when it really comes down to it, I'd rather have seen a contract signing where these guys, where the majority of them are very, very green. People don't want to hear this. Shinsuke Nakamura is very green. Kevin Owens is green. I don't care what anybody says. He should have never gotten the WWE Universal title. He's too green. Sami Zayn truly sucks. Baron Corbin got great potential, but he's not there either. They have not built him at all. Particularly what happened at the end of that match, when maybe if Baron Corbin had been allowed to grab that title, which is the Money in the Bank briefcase, pretty much you got a title that you just got to cash in. That's it. But we got Shinsuke Nakamura kicking his ass off the ladder, and he getting it. A guy that should, if he does win the Money in the Bank, as popular as he is, I don't see great things for him, because the way they're booking him does still seem to be going along the NXT lines to a certain extent. But as it stands, he could easily get fucked badly. I understand the reason why they're doing it. Because they have generally newcomers and jobbers on Smackdown Live, and they got to do something with them. But it's a problem. You rush these guys, you ruin them. I know Smackdown Live needs something to do. They only need to just book them properly. Give them minor feuds to build up. If you make the minor feuds look good, they'll be fine. Here, you don't get it. That's the reason why I said a contract signing is better. Now, Charlotte versus Natalya. And as I said before, Charlotte is not as good as people think she is. And I know the Lux Man loves Charlotte. And I'm not against the Lux Man, but dude, let's be honest here. Charlotte was rushed. Bayley was rushed. Becky Lynch was rushed. Now, I know he's going to say they weren't booked properly. That's a part of it. When you bring people up in a rush and you don't book them properly, they look bad. These women should have been allowed 3 years of development on the main roster before they got any titles whatsoever. Within about a year or so, they get titles, which makes things bad. Now, I did say Sasha Banks is one of the best women they've ever brought up that actually is capable of handling the main roster, and she has. It's just now they're booking like crap. So when you see this match, you can honestly see that, I almost say Sasha Banks, that Natalya was the one who was carrying that match, because Charlotte was botchy. As I've said before, Charlotte's not a bad worker, as long as she's with someone who knows her. If she's working with someone, not because they don't have skill, it's just they don't know her, her botchiness comes out hard. She just botches very badly. She needs someone who knows her very well to be able to have the right ability to make her look good. And this match shows. I mean, it was a good match, but it shows. And I just felt like, well, It really wasn't that great of a match. And even though it does kind of go along with what's going on in Money in the Bank, don't you think it would have been better to just let these women have segments by themselves talking? And particularly what I'm going to focus on later would have made more sense. Usos and Clones versus New Day and the Fashion Popo. Now I want to say before this match, they did their segment later in the night, showing the Fashion Police having a moment wondering who the hell just beat up on Tyler Breeze. It's still funny. I know a lot of people don't like it. It's still funny. Like I said before, give someone you think could do something a chance. Both these guys are jobbers. Yes. But what did I say months upon months ago? Give someone a break and give them a decent character to build up on top of, and they can run with it and they can do something with it or not. The Fashion Police, or as I say, Fashion Popo, has actually gotten over to a certain extent because they actually have good chemistry. Give them something to work with, no matter if they're jobbers or not, and it works. Now when it came to the match, it wasn't a situation about that. It wasn't. The problem was this. Seeing the Usos versus New Day was more important than seeing the Clones with the Fashion Police along with them. This should have been a focus of the Fashion Police and the Clones having another match. You could have a New Day beat up on the Usos, or the Usos beat up on New Day, or do what they did at the end of the match, which allowed them both to talk a little bit. But in the very beginning, talk a lot. That would have been more effective. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's going to sound like Raw. No. We don't need to have segments every single time in this show. Just for certain people, you should have at least a certain segment amount of time. Also, that reminds me, what they've been doing about the commercials, because I forgot to say in Charlotte and Natalia, excuse me, I love it. I know a lot of people probably hate it. They want to see the match, but then they got to look at the commercial. Dude, this is a best case scenario with the WWE. If they did this on Raw sometimes, they would actually make Raw something more interesting. Because they're actually showing the match while the commercials are running makes it special. Something you don't normally see, because Raw is always caring about the network, always caring about the app. But Smackdown actually lets you see it on the television. Let you see it during the commercials. Something different. I wish they would emphasize a little bit more, but they don't. That's what we get. Stick with it. Now, Lana. I know I could talk about this during the match. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. But, 1, Lana looks devastating. 2, I hate Lana because of the spot they're putting her in. I will... calm down. I know I have to say this at the end. Look, I just want to say that in the beginning how beautiful she is. She's just ravishing. She's beautiful. I will elaborate when I talk about the end. So let's go through the last thing I'm going to talk about before the end, and that's Jinder Mahal's segment and the RKO to the face. Did I think Jinder Mahal's segment was good? Him coming down with the Singh brothers? Yes. Now, I did hear someone, I don't remember who it was, but someone said, I think maybe in Wrestling Inc., I'm not exactly sure, or someone else, they felt that Jinder Mahal is way too soft-spoken. And to a certain extent, he is. But let's be honest here. If you're going along with the stereotype of a Indian, generally, they're very soft-spoken people. I've met people from India. I met people from Pakistan, Afghanistan. I met a guy from Libya once, a long, long time ago. A very long time ago. I knew a family from Israel directly. I would have been actually almost adopted into a family that was from Israel directly. I think they really wanted to consider me family until something happened that blew that. I can say my biological father messed that up for me. But they're all soft-spoken people normally. As much as people don't want to hear it. But as it stands, it actually makes sense for them to talk like that. He's a soft-spoken person. A royal doesn't always need to raise their voice. So that's where he's going with that. But did this make sense? Seeing Jinder get his ass handed to him. Seeing the RKO standing ahead. In a sense, yes. But here's the problem for me personally. When he had that match with Mojo Rawley where he had a moment saying, I have to gear up and get better, and then Zack Ryder comes out, so the Hype Bros may come back together again if they don't have some type of feud. There's a possibility for that. I wanted Jinder, if I said Ginger earlier, I'm sorry. I wanted Jinder to actually win that match clean so he would be more legitimate going against Randy Orton. And then if he gets RKO'd here, which he did, it would have felt a little more easier on the eyes. Of course, I would still critique it, thinking he shouldn't have been RKO'd, maybe attempted to be RKO'd, but he managed to avoid it. Under the situation, it was alright for Randy. It wasn't great for Jinder, particularly that he had to have help winning last week against Mojo Rawley. I wish it didn't happen, but it did, and we go with it. Let's just hope they actually book this properly at Money in the Bank and Jinder beats Randy Orton clean. Clean. I'm saying it right now. It's a prediction. Randy Orton must allow Jinder Mahal to beat him clean without the Singh brothers there. That would be something you would not expect. By himself with no help, winning clean will be perfect. Now, the final thing that pissed my ass off, which really, if anyone cares about who I'm about to talk about, you can skip this because it made no sense. It sucked. Naomi versus Tamina. A feud that should be about family. Now, what I said about Lana earlier, she was beautiful. She's a woman that many people wish they could be near and just love. But as it stands, Lana's fucking pissing me off because she should not be in this spot. She shouldn't. Naomi should be having a spotlight, talking on Money in the Bank, and then having to deal with the Money in the Bank winner later in the night. That would make better sense than this. Having Lana have a match with her is stupid. Particularly that it's a good chance that this is only building up Charlotte to take the freaking title from her. But I'm going to say this honestly. I am very angry at the WWE because you have a perfect opportunity. You have 4 members of a family, the Alpha family. You got Jimmy and Jey Uso, you got Tamina, and you got Naomi. Or Naomi. I say Naomi, I'm American, I say Naomi. But when it comes down to it, you could have a family feud. When was the last time we had a family feud in the WWE? The Bellas, of course, in 2014. But in this case, it will be about Samoan legacy more than it would be about 2 sisters, and one wasn't very well spotlighted over the other. This will be about a Tamina Snuka dealing with a Naomi Fatu. It would be a perfect match in heaven. But we're not getting that unless you actually have Tamina win the Money in the Bank and then you promote it as something special. And then bring the Usos into it. If you don't, it's a lost opportunity. Honestly, it is. Having Naomi deal with Lana is a waste of time. Having Naomi not have a feud with Tamina, a story for the women that could be in depth. You can even bring back Rikishi. You could say, Rikishi, we need you. Rikishi, we need you to come in. We need you. Rikishi comes, they pay him. Because he only comes around when he pays. It seems that's the way it goes in real life. He comes out. He says, I don't want to see you two. You're my family. Don't do this. And then they start fighting. Jimmy is on the side of his wife. Jay is on the side of his cousin. And you see the wonderful Rikishi trying to keep some peace. Eventually, if you were to promote this properly, SummerSlam, you can have a real match between the two. But they're not doing that. It angers me. Now, I'm saying this. If anybody wants me to do a booking the wrestler, I'm actually thinking of doing it. I may actually do it after this. A booking the wrestler, Tamina versus Naomi. Please give me a comment below. Because I am thinking about doing it. If I don't do it, just tell me. Just someone tell me. But as it stands, you could have skipped this Smackdown. It wasn't that good. But this is just my point of view. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.